Hello, this is Erica with Launching Legacies. Welcome to our daily devotional. Today is the day after my birthday. So yesterday was my birthday, and I'll tell you just a little bit about myself. I love to play games. Like, it's what I love to do. And I think I just love games because they make you think, and I love thinking probably as nearly as much as I love to play games. So what did I do yesterday? I went with my family, some parts of my family. There was a small group of us, and we went to do an escape room where you go into a room and you solve puzzles in order to get out of the room. And it was fun, and it was good. But because of my birthday, in reflection to that having just passed, we are going to spend the next week talking about wisdom. And here goes why. Because I think I like games and puzzles and things like that because I like to think. But I always thought that the worst thing that could ever happen, or one of the worst things that could happen, would be to grow old and to not grow wiser as I grew older. So this week is dedicated to applications of wisdom that have come with age. And so many of the applications are actually biblical principles, but things I had to learn as I've grown older, and hopefully things that I completely master as I grow older. And so some of these things we practice well, we're good, we're healthy, we're doing these things. Other things, they're going to come as time goes on, but we're moving in that direction. So today, without further ado, we're going to look at wisdom, and we're going to look at Romans 13 verses 7 and 8. So let me just adjust the camera a little bit. There we go. Very good. Now, we're looking at Romans 17. Not 17, excuse me, Romans 13, and we're going to look at verses 7 and 8, okay? And so Romans 13 verse 7 says, "Give to everyone what you owe them. Pay your taxes and government fees to those who collect them, and give respect and honor to those who are in authority." Okay? And then verse 8 says, "Owe nothing to anyone except for your obligation to love one another. If you love your neighbor, you will fulfill the requirements of God's law." Okay, and so it goes into the commandments and so forth, but we're going to stop there. So here goes the thing. Over time, we grow wise enough to understand that when we don't give people what they're due, right? When we don't give people what we owe them, that we have kind of lost respect or the concern for their kindness of giving us something. And so this passage of scripture has come with wisdom over time, because I don't want to ever be an obligation to another person. And clearly God doesn't want us to be an obligation to another person, feeling like we need to pay them, or they're hounding us, having bill collectors calling, or having situations in which you have to run away from this person because you owe them X amount of money, and run away from this person because you owe them X amount of money. And then there's so many people you can't communicate or contact with because you owe everyone money. It's something that really lacks wisdom, and it detracts from a relationship, right? In this case, the first scripture talks about paying your government fees and so on and so forth. So, you clearly paying your taxes and things like that. Usually the IRS will take care of things if you didn't. But who wants to be in a situation in which we're looking for someone to collect the debt because we haven't paid it? Who wants to be in a situation in which we can't buy what we want to buy because our credit is damaged? Who wants to be in a situation in which our name, which is what our credit represents in the U.S. to a certain extent, is the credibility of who we are, is so damaged that people don't know what to expect when they look at us. They don't know what we're going to do next with the money that they are trying to give to us, or they don't want to give money to us because we've not been prudent with it. Over time and over the years, I learned the really importance of this passage in the way of paying what is owed, right? Don't owe no man but to love them, right? That's the King James interpretation of that. Owe no man but to love them. Like, you don't owe them anything. Just love them. That's all you need to be doing. Don't borrow from them. If you need something and it's urgent and it's a dire situation, pray first and see if the Lord makes a way for you to get what you need without you having to borrow and and beg and plead for things. And something that came in age and wisdom is to owe no man but to love them. But then as later on, and as I got through this passage, you're talking about finances, I thought about how bigger implications it has, right? So there's sometimes we live in these relationships of obligation that have nothing to do with money, but more so to do with like the time that we owe a person, or the way that we need to treat a person, or these types of things, and everything becomes really delicate, and you feel like you're walking on eggshells, and I need to make sure that this is this and make sure this is this. Now the scripture says, as much as possible live at peace with all men, but we obey the law of love before we obey the law of peace. And here goes the thing that's interesting about it, because when we fulfill the commandment to love, right, to owe no man but to love them and to sincerely love them, we have to recognize that love doesn't always it's not peace loving, it's peace keeping. And so what does that mean? That sometimes in order to be loving to a person, we need to be more straightforward with that person. We need to be honest with that person, not necessarily walking on eggshells, afraid of what they might say or whatever exchange might happen, but understanding that love really in the sincerity of it has a little bit of conflict sometimes. Sometimes it has a little bit of press. It's not I'm getting my own way. It's not I'm doing things my own because I want me first. Like, it's not about that, but sometimes it's about correction, and sometimes it's about perspective, and sometimes you got to just say what you have to say. And so you don't walk necessarily on eggshells to prove that you love someone and you don't owe them anything but to love them. But on the other hand, you get balance to that love, and you say what needs to be said when it needs to be said, but you say that truth in love, and you abide in that place of love, not trying to be getting your own way all the time, but able to be prudent in the things that you're saying, but then also not walking, well, I can't say anything to this person. Well, I couldn't tell them the truth. So you're just going to lie to this person and say that you're loving them. That doesn't work, right? So you're just going to continue to think of this person as weak and unable to deal with the circumstances that are real, and say that you love them. That's not a very good thing that you're saying about them, is that they can't deal with the realities of the situation. No, as much as possible, you want to live at peace with all men, but you don't allow peace to become something that detracts from your love. And this is something I've learned in the years, is that as I grow older and I grow wiser, I want to owe no man but to love them, but I want to really love them. I don't want to love them from this squinted, ooh, I love you, but I know you. No, I want to love them with all the love that I can give to them. I want to tell them the truth in love. I want to abide with them in love. I don't want to be selfish in my love. I don't want to be self-centered in my love, but I also don't want them to be either. And I want our love to be mutually exchanged between the two of us. And I feel that, for one, this is one of the major things that I've learned as I've grown older, and hopefully I continue to practice as I grow wiser. For one, get rid of all the debt that you can get rid of. If you don't make a lot of money, that's okay. Work on getting rid of the debt, because you're going to be honored in your steps towards removing debt. Go ahead and do that. Don't live above your means. As much as possible, don't take out money that you can't afford to pay back. Don't borrow things that you know you can't return, and don't act like you forgot something that you know you had. And there has been times in my past, I can say, I'll be number one on the list, that I borrowed and didn't realize the significance of what borrowing was. And I had to pay the piper when it came to those things. But as I grew older, I realized, you know what? There's no reason to borrow something. God will supply all of my needs, right? And so if I need something, I'm just going to present it to the Lord. And if it comes, then I'll take care of it as it comes. But what I don't want to do is live a life in which I'm disregarding other people because I'm being unloving toward them. And we don't think of that when we think about the government and systems like that. We don't always think of them as having a need, right? We don't think of them as, oh, well, they're not a person, so we can treat them as a different entity. But the scripture that comes before 7 talks about, listen, you got to pay your taxes. Honor those who are in authority. If they say this is what you owe, you got to pay them what they owe. So we don't disregard any entity saying that it's not deserving of our love or meriting of our honor that is due to it. No, we treat everyone the way that they're supposed to be, and we owe no man. That means also governments or systems systems or peoples or principles or titles or authorities. We owe no one anything but to love them. And so we remain in that place, and we grow in wisdom, and we think about our relationships. We want our relationships to be that way as well. Again, not owing them anything, not owing them any more integrity than what we have given them, right? Give them the love, give them the integrity, give them the truth, give them the loyalty, give them those things that are a part of this big principle of love. Because once you love them and you abide in that love with them, then the relationship starts to pay itself off, and it starts to give its own dividends. And then we don't find ourselves resentful of people, or walking on eggshells with people, or not able to handle a person, can't deal with the person. Those, honestly, as much as we want to blame other people for that type of situation, really that's our own fault, because it's our own behavior that's usually causing us to be in that stance with a person. And so to remove ourselves from a place where we're on eggshells and uneasy and don't know what to do, look it, just love them. Owe them nothing but to love them. Don't have an obligation to do anything but to love that person, and see how well that pays off. All right, guys, this is a celebration of wisdom and applications from wisdom for this week. I hope that you enjoy them. This is my first and possibly one of my favorites, but we'll talk about the rest of them as we go on. And I hope that as we go through this week, we talk about growing, but you're growing. I would encourage you to read this passage from Romans, the 13th chapter, and enjoy it. But also, I would encourage you to do this, to examine yourselves. Do you owe people things you need to give them back? If you do, make the effort to go in that direction, because even a little bit of money on a large debt will eventually pay itself off. But if you do nothing in that direction, what is it saying about your heart or your sincerity to love? All right. I'm praying for you. I hope you're praying for Launching Legacies. We will see you again tomorrow with another of our devotionals. Until then, be blessed.